All right, everybody, so welcome back to another episode of Colton Posey Fishing. Today we're going to be talking about rattle traps, or as we all know, lipless crankbaits. Okay, so I've got three types of rattle traps up here, and I'm going to talk about a couple different ways that I like to use them. This is a great time of year to use rattle traps. Now, I usually stick to the silent versions, but it seems like the rattling version has been very, very productive so far. But either way, I kind of want to go over everything, how I like to use them, when I choose one over the other. So stay tuned. This is something you don't want to miss. All right, guys, so before we jump into anything, I want to say if the video helps you at all, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. It's a great way to support the channel. It helps me out a ton. And subscribe down below. I got you covered when it comes to anything bass fishing. I drop videos every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And, you know, if you ever have any questions, please drop a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys, or if you just want to talk fishing. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is the one that we all know, and it's kind of where it gets that cliche name of the rattle trap, which is its own brand, okay? But there's a lot of people that refer to a lipless crankbait, whether it's a rattling version, a silent version, it doesn't really matter. They refer to it just as a rattle trap. So, you know, if you're talking to somebody at a boat ramp and say, I'm catching them on a rattle trap, and you're throwing a rattle trap and you're not getting bit, well, that may be because you're throwing one that's rattling, or you're throwing one that's silent, or you may be throwing one that has the one knock. And we're going to go over all three, and I'm going to tell you exactly when I choose one over the other. Now, the first one I want to talk about, this is the rattling version, okay? So it's just the rattling version of a lipless crankbait. It's got multiple rattles in there. It's going to put off a high pitch sound. It's super loud. You know, when you get close to that boat, especially if you're in a 10 rig, you can really hear that bait rattling. Now, I really like the rattling version with the multiple rattles in it, typically when the water is stained up or muddy. Also, throwing that bait in heavy grass, okay? So throw it like, you know, if you've got like some type of grass that's right below the surface, that lipless crankbait, the rattling version, is typically a great choice because they're able to find that bait a lot easier. They're not just seeing it, but they're hearing it also. But sometimes fishing pressure can really mess with the fish. And, you know, you typically, sometimes when that happens, you really don't want that rattling version. Now, another thing that I really like to do with the rattling version is burn that bait just across open water. So fishing points and stuff like that, fishing for suspended fish like you would for a jerk, like with a jerk bait, right? So if I'm throwing a jerk bait out there and I'm popping that bait and I'm pausing it, letting it sit and stuff like that, I'm kind of going to mimic that with a rattle trap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that bait out there as far as I possibly can. I'm going to start burning that bait, and I'm going to pause it. Every now and again, I may rip it, do something different, make it act different. And in those open water scenarios, they don't see that bait a whole lot. It's a great way to catch a whole lot of fish. Now, those are about the only reasons that I would throw the rattling version. Stained water, you know, grass, trying to help the fish locate it, maybe cold, dead of winter, and I'm just trying to entice those fish a little bit more to bite. But now let's talk about the heavy fishing pressure situation. So if there's a bunch of fishing pressure and your lake is clear, one of the best things that I love to do is throw a silent version. So this is the silent version. There's literally not a single rattle in this bait, and there's just a weight transfer system, but it doesn't really make any kind of noise. But this is a great option, and you know, when that pressure gets high, you've got clear water, you can burn it like I was talking about, pause it, rip it. Y'all saw, if you're not new to the channel, you saw me last year using this bait a lot, in particular to catch those suspended fish a lot, especially during the summer, because they're gonna go for a while without seeing these baits. So a lipless is always that great option. It's a good option if you have sparse grass. So maybe you're dealing with willow grass that's right below the surface, right? But it's spread out where these fish can see a long way. That is a great time to throw the silent version also. Now, another thing you can do with this is if fish are directly under your boat, you can fish with this bait like it's a spoon, like a flutter spoon. So I'm going to let that bait fall and I'm going to pick it up. I'm jigging it up and down is what I'm doing. More like a jigging spoon than a flutter spoon, because I'm not going to be ripping that bait or anything like that. Typically, if I'm going to do the rips, it's going to come out of grass. But, you know, a silent version is a great option. So, you know, maybe if you hear somebody talking about, hey, you know, I've been catching fish off a rattle trap and you've been throwing it and you hadn't get bit, that may be why. Now the next one that I want to talk about, this is pretty similar, but I like throwing a finesse version, okay? So this is a lipless crankbait, right? This is made by Booyah, but it has a one big rattle. So it's just got that one big beat. It puts off a completely different sound. Now I like throwing this bait in those early spring months when fish are just now starting to move back to the backs of creeks and stuff, and the boat traffic is starting to pick up a little bit. You're starting to see a tournament here and there and stuff like that. But I like going with the 1/4 ounce version, okay? It's a smaller version. It's a little bit more finessey. You can put it just about anywhere. If you can see, the head's all kind of beat up from me running it through cover and stuff like that. That is another great way to fish a rattle trap. Don't be afraid to throw that bait in cover, okay? Just like you're using a square bill and stuff. You're gonna lose some, okay? That's the reason I always suggest buy 4 or 5 baits once you find one that you're confident with. But don't be afraid to throw it up in heavy cover and stuff. But I'm gonna be using that bait very similar. You know, I'm gonna be throwing that bait out there. Now, earlier spring months, I'm not necessarily gonna be burning it and killing it or jigging it and stuff like that. Most of the time in the cooler months, I'm going to be throwing that bait out there and I'm just going to be reeling it. I'm just going to wind it. I may slow it down just a little bit and then pick it up just a little bit and then get back to a normal cadence. Just making it kind of different, but just a little bit. I'm just tweaking things just a little bit. But you know, these are just great options for this time of year, or really any time of year. It's just play around with them on your lake, get more confident with them. Grass is great areas. Points are great areas when those fish are out suspended. And don't be afraid to throw those baits up in cover and stuff like that. I guarantee you'll catch a lot more fish. Before we jump off here, I'm going to talk about my setup. It's 7-foot moderate action. Okay, this is a cranking rod. Highly suggest going with a cranking rod. You want that real limber tip, and I'm going with a 7:3 to 1 gear ratio reel with 15-pound fluorocarbon. I don't want any stretch unless it's in the winter months. I may throw monofilament on there, but super simple setup, everything. So if the video helps you at all, guys, make sure to hit that thumbs up. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe down below. I got you covered when it comes to anything bass fishing. We're over 11,000 subscribers right now. My goal by the end of this year is to hopefully hit or surpass 20,000. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure to comment down below. I love hearing from you guys, or anything you want to add. Maybe you want to share something with the community about how you use a rattle trap and how you catch fish off of a rattle trap or lipless crankbait. Either way, guys, I love hearing from you, and I'll see you next time.